Alex Martins had spent almost all his life in the United States. Now he has returned home. He came back to find a wife because he was the only son and his father, Richard Martins, was getting old. One evening, Alex went to a small mall in town to buy some groceries. After shopping, he walked out to cross the street to his car. He did not notice a car speeding toward him. Maria, a homeless woman who was 9 months pregnant, was nearby. She saw the car coming straight at Alex. Without thinking, she ran and pushed him out of the way. The car missed Alex, but Maria fell and broke her ankle. Alex hurt himself a little from the push, but he was mostly okay. Alex quickly stood up and thanked Maria. People around helped him lift Maria and put her gently into his car. He rushed her to the hospital as fast as he could. When they reached the hospital, Maria's labor had already started. The nurses immediately took her to the emergency ward. Alex ran out quickly to get the few things the doctor asked for. Hours passed. Finally, Alex returned and he heard the cry of a newborn baby. His heart filled with joy. It felt like the happiest moments of his life. The nurses treated Maria's wounds, and when she came out of the emergency ward, Alex rushed to see her. He had also brought food and fruits for her. He thanked her again, deeply, for saving his life. Maria smiled weakly, but was tired from the pain. 2 hours later, Alex knew he had to go home because it was getting late. He left the hospital and went to his family's mansion. There he told his parents, Richard and Lucia Martins, everything that had happened. But Alex had no idea that the birth of that child would be the beginning of his father Richard's downfall. Richard Martins was not just a businessman. He was the senator of the state, a powerful man. And soon, the events set in motion by Maria's bravery would change everything for their family. The next morning, the first thing on Alex's mind was to go see Maria and his son David at the hospital. On his way, he stopped by a store and bought more clothes for Maria and the baby, soft clothes, warm blankets, and a few toys. He wanted them to feel comfortable and cared for. When he arrived at the hospital, he found Maria and her baby healthy and strong. But something was wrong. Maria wasn't happy. Her eyes were red and tears streamed down her cheeks. Alex gently asked, "Maria, what's the matter?" Through her sobs, she explained. She was crying because she could not afford to pay the hospital bills. And now, with a newborn baby, she didn't know where she would stay. Being homeless, she feared having no shelter for her child. Alex's heart ached for her. Without hesitation, he went straight to the doctor's office. He cleared all the hospital bills and begged the doctor to allow Maria and the baby to stay for 2 more days. "Please," he said, "I just need a little time to find them a safe place." That evening, Alex called several housing agents. He searched for the perfect apartment where Maria and David could live safely. By the next morning, he had found one. He paid for it in full and even furnished it with everything they would need: beds, kitchen supplies, baby essentials, and a few comforts to make it feel like home. The following day, Alex drove to the hospital again, ready to take Maria and her son home. When he entered the ward, Maria was still crying. She was terrified at the thought of returning to the streets with her newborn. Alex stepped forward gently. He handed her the new clothes he had bought. Maria, change into this and let's go. Everything is ready for you and David." Maria looked at him in shock. It felt like a dream. She couldn't believe someone could care so much for her and her baby. Her hands trembled as she held the clothes. She quickly changed David into his new outfit and then looked at Alex with tears of gratitude. When they arrived at the apartment, Maria's eyes widened in amazement. She had never seen a place so clean and welcoming. Overcome with emotion, she fell to her knees before Alex. "Thank you," she whispered. "Thank you for everything." Alex smiled warmly. "No need to thank me, Maria. You and David deserve a safe home." But little did Maria or Alex know, the secret of his father Richard and mother Lucia was about to unfold, and once it did, it would change everything. So grab your cookies and coffee, because the story is only getting started. 2 weeks later, Alex decided to visit Maria and baby David at their new apartment. He wanted to check on them and see how they were settling in. But when he got to the house, he was shocked. Standing in the parlor was his father, Richard Martins. His face was dark with anger. Maria froze, unable to speak. Alex's heart raced. "Dad, what are you doing here?" Alex shouted, his voice full of shock and anger. Richard's eyes widened in surprise and fury. Without saying a word, he stormed out of the apartment, slamming the door behind him. Maria sank into a chair, lost in thought, while Alex stared at her, confused and worried. "Maria," Alex said gently, "sit down and tell me everything. What did my father say to you, and how did he even find out where you live?" Maria hesitated for a moment. She had never known that Alex was the son of Senator Richard Martins, but now, looking at him with his protective eyes, she knew she could trust him. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she began. "Alex, everything that's happened, I never told anyone because I was scared, but now you need to know the truth." She took a deep breath and began her story. I am your mother's niece. I am the daughter of your mother's sister. I came to work in your house as a maid. Your father, Richard, would come into my room at night while your mother slept and take advantage of me. I couldn't say anything because he always threatened me. He said that if anyone found out, he would kill me. Alex's face turned pale. He could feel the weight of what Maria had gone through. Maria continued, her voice trembling. "One morning, I woke up feeling very weak. I couldn't do my usual chores. That's when your mother Lucia found out I was pregnant with your father's child. She demanded that I have an abortion. When your father returned that evening, she yelled at him for what he did, but he couldn't deny it. Then they both decided to throw me out of the house. Your mother only cared about money and fame. She didn't want anything to ruin her comfort and wealth." Alex felt a mix of anger, disbelief, and sorrow. "Maria, I can't believe they treated you this way," he said, gripping her hand. "And that child, David, he's your son." Maria nodded, tears falling freely. "Yes, that's David, and that's how I ended up here struggling to survive." Alex paused, his mind racing. "But how did my father even find out where you and David are living?" he asked, a sense of unease creeping in. Maria shook her head. "I don't know. I thought we were safe. I didn't tell anyone, but somehow he knows." Alex's jaw tightened. He knew that whatever was coming next would be bigger than anything he had imagined. His father's secret was dark, and now it was spilling into their lives in ways no one could have expected. Hours later, Alex returned home. His father, Richard, was pacing the mansion, his mind shaking with fear. He worried that Alex might confront him that night about Maria and the terrible truth. But when Alex arrived, he surprised everyone. He didn't say a word. He walked straight to his room, closed the door, and locked it. For 3 whole days, Alex didn't come out. His mother, Lucia, worried endlessly. Even Richard, despite his arrogance and power, felt uneasy. He had never seen his son behave like this. But inside that locked room, Alex's mind was racing. He couldn't believe how cruel and wicked his parents had been. How could they treat an innocent girl like Maria so cruelly? How could they throw her out and try to hide the truth? His heart ached for Maria and little David, and anger boiled inside him. In that room, he made a silent decision. He disowned his parents not with words, but with his actions. On the 4th day, he finally stepped out. His mother ran to him, tears in her eyes, begging him to speak, to forgive, to say something. But Alex did not say a single word. Not a word. No one could read his mind. No one knew what he was planning. Without a word, he picked up his car keys and left the mansion. He drove straight to a hotel and checked in, wanting to clear his head, to think carefully about his next move. In that hotel, Alex contacted a real estate agent and found another apartment far away from the city, far from the mansion, far from his parents' reach. He wanted Maria and David to be safe, away from the shadow of his parents' cruelty. He paid for the apartment and even began furnishing it with everything they might need. But Alex wasn't stopping there. He was planning something that would shake the Martins mansion to its very foundations. He knew he had to be smart, careful and strong. What he was about to do would change everything for his parents forever. Alex had successfully moved Maria and little David to a place far away where his father, Senator Richard Martins, could never reach them. The boy and his mother were finally safe, and that gave Alex a sense of peace, but also a burning determination. When he returned home that day, he dropped his car keys on the table and noticed a message on his WhatsApp. It was from Maria. She had forwarded everything Richard had said to her that day, the threats, the cruel words, the promises of violence. Senator Richard had never imagined that Maria could outsmart him. Now Alex had concrete evidence of his father's crimes and threats. With this, he had all he needed to remove Richard from his position as senator. The game was about to get very interesting. The next morning, Alex made a call to his parents. They thought he was calling to make peace, to forgive, to reconcile, but they had no idea. Alex was coming to declare war. When he arrived at the mansion, he walked straight into the living room, his eyes locked on his father. Calm but filled with authority, Alex spoke. I want you to transfer 90% of your wealth and investments into the name of that little child, David, he said, his voice steady. A heavy silence fell on the room. Senator Richard flared up immediately. What do you mean by that? That boy is not my son. I will not do that, he shouted, veins bulging in anger. Alex calmly turned to his mother. And you, he said, I need you to transfer everything you own in this house as an investment into the name of that young girl, Maria, your niece. Lucia froze. Her mouth opened wide, and she was lost in thought, speechless. She had never imagined Alex could have the courage or the power to confront them like this. Alex stood up fully, facing his father squarely. Do what I say, or you will lose your position as senator, he said, his voice firm. Then he turned and walked out. Richard and Lucia were left in stunned silence. Anger and disbelief flashed across Richard's face. "You will do no such thing, Alex. I gave birth to you. You can't do anything to me," he ranted, pacing back and forth in the room. But Alex wasn't finished. He got to his car, and from there, he forwarded the voice notes Maria had sent him, the recording of all the threats and abuses his father had said to her. That was all he needed to destroy his father's political career and secure safety for Maria and David. As he drove off, Lucia called him repeatedly, but Alex didn't answer. He had a mission and nothing would stop him now. The mansion was silent. Shock, fear, and anger filled the air. The powerful Senator Richard Martins had finally met his match, and the game had only just begun. The next morning, Alex returned to his parents' mansion once again. He walked straight into the living room, his eyes steady and full of determination. "Father," he said, "you need to make a choice. Either transfer everything you own into David's name or lose your Senate seat." Senator Richard's face went pale. By now, he understood his son wasn't joking. Fear gripped him, and he fell to his knees, begging Alex to forgive him. But Alex's expression didn't soften. He was firm, determined, and unyielding. Trembling, Richard went to his room, brought out files and documents, and began signing everything over to David's name. As he did, tears rolled down his face. Alex raised his eyes, pretending not to notice. "That's the price you pay for being irresponsible," Alex said coldly. "Have a nice day, sir." Without waiting for a reply, he left and went straight to his mother. Lucia's eyes were swollen from crying, but Alex didn't waver. "Is the document ready?" he asked. She had no choice but to hand over the papers already signed in Maria's name. Alex took them silently and left. Back at his hotel, Alex called Maria to let her know that he was coming to see her. But before heading over, he stopped by a ring shop and bought a beautiful diamond ring. He had plans. That evening, Maria served a delicious meal. They ate together like a happy family, laughter and warmth filling the room. After the meal, Alex got down to one knee and proposed to Maria. Maria's eyes filled with tears and she couldn't say no. Alex was kind, loving, and genuine. Her heart knew he was the right person. But Alex had more plans. He didn't want to destroy his parents. He only wanted to teach them a lesson and make them accept Maria. One evening, he called his parents. "I have found the woman I want to marry. We will be coming to the mansion tomorrow." His parents were shocked and unhappy, but they had no choice. The next morning, Alex arrived at the mansion with Maria and little David. Richard flared up immediately. "Why would you want to marry Maria? There are plenty of women out there." Alex looked straight at him. "I haven't forgiven either of you yet. You have no right to decide who I marry. Don't forget, I still have the records." His parents had no choice. Reluctantly, they blessed Alex and Maria's union. That day, Richard drove them, with Maria and David, back to the family mansion. On the day of the wedding, Alex's parents arrived, dressed beautifully. Alex had secretly planned to return everything he had taken from them after the wedding, but he hadn't told Maria. Once the wedding was over, as his parents were about to leave, Alex called them aside. Just him, his father, and his mother. He looked Richard in the eyes. "Dad, I am not proud of what you did, and I will never be. But today, I want you to know that I forgive both of you for what you did to Maria. Here are your documents." His father's eyes widened in surprise. Tears came as he hugged Alex tightly, not letting go. Then Alex turned to his mother. "Mom, Maria is your niece. You need to settle with her and ask for her forgiveness. She deserves it, and I have forgiven you too." The three of them hugged, tears and forgiveness flowing freely. Later, Alex, Maria, and their son David drove to their mansion. The family was finally complete, safe, and happy. A new life had begun, one filled with love, trust, and hope. If you found this story interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a heart in the comments and tell us where you are watching from.